Guys, I'm a 29-year-old female. I live in a very deep southern state, and my mother is very traditional. She's been pressing me to get married. She says, hey, you're almost 30, you're not married yet, there must be something wrong with you. Well, I just pretty much ignored her because I don't really have the same views that she has. Well, like I said, I live in a very small town, so news spreads like wildfire. She decides to throw a big massive party for me for my 30th birthday, but little do I know, she has the biggest surprise waiting for me, and it is not a good surprise. She is setting me up with this dude in town who I absolutely despise for an arranged marriage.
Hey guys, my name's Emma. The title is pretty self-explanatory, but I have a lot of background info to go over with you. I'm absolutely livid right now, and I'm having trouble collecting my thoughts after what just happened. I'm hoping you can all give me a little bit of advice or some words of support, because I'm feeling like I'm the only sane person in my entire town. First, without giving too many revealing personal details, I live in a small town in the deep south. You can probably already imagine the type of place I'm talking about. It's the type of place where there's more churches than gas stations. It's a traditionalist, old-fashioned, conservative community. Well, growing up in a small, tightly knit town such as this, well, it can have its perks, you know. There's also a lot of host of drawbacks. Everybody is a gossiper, and everyone knows each other's business because frankly, there's not much really else to do here besides talk about what everyone else is up to. On top of that, if you're a strong-willed, independent person like I am, especially if you're a woman, people in a community like this don't take too kindly to that sort of thing. I've always been something of an outsider, whether it's for my political beliefs, my religious beliefs, my style of dress, or simply whatever. This is the type of town that has looked and thought largely the same way since the 1800s. I've never quite fit in here. I stay close to the area because I have friends and family here, and it's cheaper than living in a big city. But I've always felt that a square peg, well, growing up here. That being said, you might not even be surprised, but what I'm about to tell you, what happened to me today was right in line with the backward viewpoints perpetrated in this community. I unfortunately call my home. But first let me tell you about my mother, 55, female. To say my mother is old-fashioned and conservative and traditionalist is her way of thinking, it would be the understatement of the year. My mother would fit right into the film like Gone with the Wind. She's always been somewhat obsessed with that Southern culture, Civil War banquets, and all things commonly associated with Southern living in the 1800s. My mother is also an extremely devoted religious person, and I and my mother have never quite seen eye to eye. As a kid, I did not appreciate being forced to get up and go to church with the fam, but I attended out of respect and a desire just to please my mother. After my father passed when I was young, my mother seemed to devote more and more time to trying to shape me in her favor. She resisted all of my attempts at autonomy, down to the style of clothing I wanted to wear and the hairstyles I chose. My political beliefs, my taste in music, all of it. Every little quest for independence and just my own sort of lifestyle was an uphill battle. Since adulthood, my mother and I have remained civil and friendly, and although we're not especially close, it seems like for the past several years, since I finished college, she always acted as if she was disappointed in me. Without revealing too many details about myself, the career I chose for myself is more artistic in nature and not that sort of homemaking. Home decorator profession my mother had envisioned for me. She has always pestered me on the subject of having children and getting married. My mother married early in life and treats me like I'm strange for being a 29-year-old woman who has not found my special someone yet. I've tried to explain that I'm not going to marry the first person who just waltzes theirself into my life and asks me, And I've tried to explain that, and I only will be the one who chooses my life partner. Me and my mother would always butt heads on this subject, so we tend to avoid it. And when my mom would ask me about my marriage and children, I'd grown accustomed to finding some way of skirting the subject or getting out of the conversation entirely. Regardless, my point is that my mother has always had a problem with my independence and ability to think for myself. Fast forward to recently. My birthday was coming up, and frankly, I was not really that excited about it. My friends and I will usually go out and do something, but my family usually is too busy gossiping about small-town drama to notice my birthday. I usually get a quick text, but never a gift or a phone call or anything like that, but hey, I'm used to it. My mother thinks that I'm a disappointment, and the rest of the family treats me like I'm from outer space. I was totally prepared to have another normal, relatively uneventful birthday celebration with my friends, and the thought of any festivities involved my family did not even cross my mind. So, tickle me surprised when my mother called me up out of the blue, talking about this great surprise that she has for my birthday. While I was a bit suspicious and apprehensive, I thought I would be receiving a decent motherly gift from my mother to her daughter, and I did not think she would approach this with the same selfishness and narcissistic energy as she applied to all the other areas of my life. But I guess that's what I get for daring to give my own family the benefit of the doubt. I should have known better, to put it mildly, and the day of the so-called surprise came. My birthday as well, so I was embarrassing and just beginning to grow a tad bit excited over it. What could my family possibly have in store for my 29th birthday? Well, turns out I should have been paying more attention to all the comments my mother had made about, quote, women who don't get married by the age of 30, there's something wrong with them. No, I'm not kidding. My mother has told me this more times than I can even count, and I guess I should have known that she has actually been hinting at what she had in store for my so-called surprise. Suffice to say, this was not a normal surprise party. My mother was driving me, and we pulled into a church parking lot. I recognized many of the cars in the parking lot as those of my family members, but there were many cars I simply did not recognize. I was already starting to feel slightly off about this whole situation. Then my mother leads me inside the church, and I'm greeted by Matthew. Now, I don't have all the time in the world to list all the reasons why I loathe and detest Matthew and would never want him at my surprise birthday party. But let me just say this. Matthew is my ex-brother-in-law. He was a jerk to my little sister, and she died under mysterious circumstances. The family thinks I'm simply crazy, but I've always thought that Matthew had something to do with her untimely and mysterious demise. So, of course, I'm wondering at this point why in the world Matthew and his family members are here at my 29th birthday party? That's when my mother and Matthew explained everything. I could not believe what they told me, but it was as real as the sky is blue. The reason I've been taken to church today is because I was, quote, meant to marry Matthew. That's right. My own mother said this out of her mouth. My family and Matthew's family had both agreed upon the terms of an arranged marriage between myself and Matthew. Everybody's opinion was sought out, and all parties were consulted in the matter. Except me. Hopefully, for all you readers, this illustrates just how sexist and backwards my small town is. I was so overwhelmed by what was happening. I began to voice my frustrations and anger with this entire situation, but as so often happens, whenever I try to make my voice heard in this backwater community, everybody in the church begins to speak over me. It was clear that my concerns and wishes as a human being simply did not matter one single second to all these people, and I simply turned around and left the church. My mother and Matthew rushed out pleading for me to come back, but I ignored them. I walked all the way home from the church, and I was too angry to accept a ride home from any of those people. Not that a single one of them offered. I suppose I'd upset their, quote, this is ridiculous, but engagement party. They called me unappreciative, and that's awfully rich coming from them. The reason I'm here today with you beautiful people is I need advice. I do want revenge. I don't care if you think I should just forgive and forget these clowns for like the zillionth time. I'm through being the nice girl who serves as a doormat for these ignorant people, and I'm tired of my desires and wishes being cast aside in favor of outdated tradition. I'm going to get my revenge on my mother, on Matthew, and on the entire community that allowed this insanity to take place. Don't even try to convince me otherwise, but I want your advice on how to take these people down. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Oh man. So, I was under the impression that arranged marriages don't really happen that often in America, but hey, looks like I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think's going to happen in these next 5 action-packed updates? Pause the video now and drop your comment and come back after the story's over and see if you were right. Alright guys, if you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button for daily videos and let's just hop into update number 1. Hey, everyone, it's Emma again, and I'm back for an update. I know I left you all hanging, and I've gotten a lot of questions asking for any recent developments on what's been going on. I'd also like to thank everybody who left kind and supportive comments. I feel a little less crazy knowing that so many other people think that my mother, well, did something entirely wrong. I'm not at all surprised by this, but I've been getting harassed since I stormed out of the ceremony just a couple days ago. I had to turn off my cell phone because I was getting phone calls from family members. It's funny, you know, none of these people called me in any of my other birthdays, and they did not even call to congratulate me on my graduation from college. They did not call me to congratulate me on my career development, nothing. They don't care about me. They're upset because I did not do what they wanted me to do, and they simply don't see me as a person. The worst part about all this is the friends from the community contacting me on Facebook. I accept, I don't know, this kind of lunacy from so-called family members, but I especially do not appreciate all this garbage from random people in my town I don't even talk to. A lot of people who are coming out of the woodwork to attack me for what I did, and they're just people I literally haven't spoken to since high school. I mean, we're talking about a decade ago. It figures that in my small backwater town, the main topic of discussion seems to be gossip surrounding my botched surprise party. Not one person in my hometown has reached out to give me reassurance that what my family did was wrong. They all think that I'm in the wrong, and I do have friends who are being supportive right now, but they don't even live here anymore. The traditionalist, conservative brainwashing has taken such a deep hold on the town that they don't even think it's the least a bit strange for somebody's mother to try to arrange a marriage for her 29-year-old daughter. Well, all I can say is this. All this harassment and bullying is just making me stronger. It's clear that I have to get revenge on this entire community, and I'm done playing games with them. I have a few cards up my sleeve, and this whole town will be sorry that they ever messed with me. It's time to show them what life is actually like in the 21st century, not 1863. Update number 2. Hey everyone, Emma back again for an update. I have a new development for you, and I wanted to just get it out there for anyone who's interested. My plan's coming together one step at a time, and I've been getting a lot of good ideas and feedback. One thing I kept seeing suggested was hiring a private investigator, and I don't know why I had not thought of it earlier. I figured it was worth a shot. A guy as shady as Matthew is bound to have a lot of dirt in his personal life, so I looked for the best PI in town. The best in town, of course, is Hank Snodgrass. He's 48, and while you might wonder what the purpose of a private investigator in a small town that thrives on gossip could possibly be, Hank is the guy you hire for the things that aren't discussed in the church or at lunchtime at the local buffet. Hank Snodgrass. He's known around the town to not be very cheap, but the charges are what he charges because he always gets results. He's something of a local celebrity here, and frankly, I'm a little surprised my family had not already hired him to keep tabs on me. Hank has even been involved in some relatively high-profile court cases and legal drama, so I knew giving him a call would be a good idea. I called Hank. I explained everything to him. He agreed that the arranged marriage was absolutely reprehensible, and he sympathized with me and my desire to get a bit of revenge. I suggested some info on how best to surveil Matthew, and I don't know, collect tabs on him maybe. But Hank assured me that he would be able to figure it out without any help from me. While I'm unsure if this is a good kind of confidence or simply mere arrogance, I have faith in his abilities based on what I know. Well, anyways, that's the update. Wish me luck, guys. Update number 3. Oh, strap your seatbelts in for the bombshell. Hello, everyone. It's Emma again, and I've got some exciting news to share with you. The private investigator is paying for itself already. Thank you again to those who already suggested the idea of hiring one, and thanks to everybody for reading all this and to those of you leaving supportive and kind comments. It's been about a week since I've last checked in, and I had not heard from Hank in a few days, so I was starting to think we were reaching a stone wall. Turns out, I could not have been farther from the truth. Hank called me and said we need to meet at his office, and he said it was too sensitive to discuss over the phone, just in case there were legal issues in the future. Of course, I was highly intrigued by this, so I dropped what I was doing and headed over to Hank's office downtown. Hank was sitting in his office with photographs, folders, files, and tons of pieces of paper strewn all across his desk. To say his office was unorganized and cluttered, well, that would be kind of an understatement. It was a wonder how this guy got anything accomplished, but I was not about to question his methods when he clearly had some results. Hank explained to me in no uncertain terms and the process of confirming many of the suspicions I had about, Matthew since day one. Hank had interviewed somewhere of, a dozen different women who all had similar stories of abuse and mistreatment at the hands of none other than Matthew. Screenshots, pictures of bruises. There was a lot of rough stuff here, and I had always had a feeling Matthew was a shady character, but this was brutal even for me. To make matters even more worse, strange and perplexing, all the women who recounted abusive tales of Matthew, this is weird, but they resembled my deceased little sister. I'm talking same hair color, same eye color, same general size and height. It was so dang eerie. Matthew obviously had a habit of targeting a certain type of woman for abuse, and it was beginning to make sense why he would agree to an arranged marriage with me. I looked just like my sister. But then came the biggest bombshell of them all, and you need to prepare yourself for this. Hank explained to me that Matthew had in fact been engaged to a woman years ago in another state. Well, I was shocked. I had never heard him discuss it, and as far as I knew, nobody in the family was aware of the fact either. But then came the kicker. This woman, who had been engaged to Matthew, had also died in these mysterious circumstances, just like my sister. My plan is starting to come together. Stay tuned for more, because I think it's going to get even better. Update number 4. Hey guys, Emma's back. Another update. Let me tell you all about how excited I am about my plan. I decided to call up my mother earlier today and tell her that I did in fact agree to the wedding. No, don't worry, folks. I have not had a sudden change of heart this late in the game. It's all part of the plan. I told my mom I was sorry for being a bad daughter. I told her I now realized that she only wanted the best for me, and the right way for me to be a good daughter is for me to marry Matthew. Right? I was really laying it on thick, but my mother's a narcissist who loves being told what she wants to hear, so she didn't question any of it. She was practically over the moon with joy, and she was finally getting what she wanted, or so she thought. As you might have guessed, I have no intentions of going through with the wedding at all. I'm not simply going to let all the information I got from Hank go to waste. No, in fact, I think those present at the wedding reception will be quite interested in all the information I'm going to dump on them. And since I know my word alone won't be enough to dissuade the crowd of ignorant people, I've got some folks enlisted to help me out with the little stunt that I've planned. It's going to be absolutely glorious. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's going to be a wedding to remember. Just to add a bit of extra credibility to my act, I called Matthew and had a nice, friendly conversation with him. It was hard to pull off without vomiting, but hey, I took a drama class in high school, so I can kind of act when I need to. As I type this, the final details of the wedding are being ironed out. Matthew's family has agreed to pay for it all. That's cute. They'll see the truth soon enough. Update number 5. This is the final update. Well, guys, I know it's been a little while since my last update, and folks have been asking me to wrap things up because I know I left you all hanging with my last update. Let's just say the wedding went exactly according to plan. My plan, at least. Not my mother's plan or Matthew's, and the day of the wedding came along and all the details have been finalized and every second of the wedding choreographed down to a T. I let my mother control everything as far as the decorations and catering and all that. Even if I had wanted to be in charge of all that stuff, my mother's controlling nature would have taken over. I figured I'd let her enjoy this before it all came crashing down. Everybody was gathered to watch. My entire small-town community had come out to support this arranged marriage, and Matthew's family sat near my family watching attentively and with pride and admiration. The looks on their faces when I revealed the truth were absolutely priceless. Right before I was to say, "I do," and take Matthew's hand in marriage, I stopped the ceremony and told everyone that I had a surprise for them. I said these exact words. "Since you all surprised me with this marriage not too long ago, I have a surprise for you all too." That's when a dozen women marched from the backstage onto the platform, and everybody stood there looking confused, but I explained what was happening. I told them that each of these women had been abused by Matthew, and that they were there to share their story. My entire family and community, plus Matthew's family, had to sit there and pay attention while each of these women shared their stories of the horrible abuse and manipulation by the hand of Matthew. While Matthew acted cocky at first, the more the women spoke, we could all see him cowering and shrinking, and before all the women could share their pieces, Matthew ran out of the church like a coward. I started giggling. My mother was crying and the crowd was beginning to grow unruly, but I didn't care. That's when I informed the crowd that the entire reception was being filmed and sent to countless news outlets and social media platforms, and I decided to leave the wedding amidst the uproar. I kept the nice dress Matthew's family bought for me. I figured they owed me after all of this trouble. You can probably find the local news report of my story with a few simple Google searches. It's been a while since this all happened, but I'm at peace now. I've moved far away from this backward town, and I've not spoken to my mother since the wedding. Nobody's heard from Matthew either. It appears being exposed for his cruelty was enough to drive him away for good. I'd like to thank everybody who was kind enough to read my troubles and leave kind and supportive comments and, well, good, thoughtful advice, especially about the PI. I'm living my best life right now, and I'm never going to let my hometown bother me again. Their ignorance was exposed for everybody to see, and now my entire hometown has gone viral for their backward views, and I think it serves them right.
Alright guys, so this story just kept getting progressively worse and worse. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I thought Matthew had some red flags, and yeah, he was a little creepy, but I was not prepared for what was it? 12 women who said that they were all abused by him. They had bruises, text message evidence of all the verbal abuse that he did. So yeah, I'm glad that he got called out. But there were some commenters that said, hey, you shouldn't have called him out at the wedding. It should never have gotten this far. All these girls should have took the evidence and gone to the police. I don't know. This story was a very difficult one. There was a lot of moving parts to it, but I'm just glad. At the end of the day, this creep Matthew is no longer in the picture. So guys, I do want to hear from you. If you were in OP's, well, point of view and you were in her shoes, how would you have handled this situation? Drop your opinions down below in the comment section. Let's discuss it. My name's Mr. Reddito. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I go ahead and release a story every single day, narrated and animated. So if you want more daily videos, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, it's cool to be kind.